Well, good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. I trust that you are well today on this Thursday morning. It's just getting deeper and deeper, isn't it? It's just getting deeper and deeper. It's just getting more and more unwieldy about what's going on in our nation. And the hard part is that a lot of us know that this is the stuff that's been going on for a long, long time. And it's very, very deep. So when people talk about the deep state and the level of corruption, a lot of us don't really have any idea of how deep it is and how deep the level of corruption is. But we're starting to find out a little bit. It's so much that a lot of us are like, well, I don't even. What can we do about it? Can we just not talk about it because it's boring, because it makes me feel bad? We got to talk about it. I don't like talking about it either, but we got to talk about it. So on Monday, longtime Biden business partner Devon Archer. Now, before we go on, Devon Archer is not a good person. Devon Archer is a backstabbing crook criminal, because all these people are. Devon Archer is no choir boy. He is not. He testified in front of the House Oversight Committee and detailed how Joe Biden's abuse of soft power made his family rich during his time as vice president. The transcript of Archer's closed door testimony was released this morning by the House Oversight Committee. James Comer and reveals how Joe and Hunter worked together to use the Biden family's brand to land loads of foreign cash. Archer said, "My only thought is that Burisma would have gone out of business if it didn't have the Biden brand attached to it," Archer told lawmakers. Hunter Biden was paid $80,000 per month to sit on the Burisma board, a notoriously corrupt Ukrainian company. Despite having zero experience in natural gas or business, they just had him there as the Biden brand, the poster child for whatever they could use him for, because they needed that. They needed that to uphold what everybody was learning was a corrupt, awful company. James Comer tweeted, "Today I released a transcript from Devon Archer's GOP oversight transcribed interview. Archer confirmed then Vice President Biden was, quote, the brand. Joe Biden joined Hunter Biden and his business associates for dinner or on by phone over 20 times. And despite Biden's claim that he never spoke to Hunter Biden's business partner, but he said he met with him or knew what kind of things they were doing. Archer reconfirmed that the former vice president attended dinner with those exact people, more specifically, foreigners who wired money to Hunter Biden's firm, which he shared with Archer, Rosemont, Seneca, Thornton. Here's a piece from the transcript. Majority Counsel asked, and I would like to talk about the value going back to this. It would be spring 2014 Cafe Milano dinner. Archer goes, the spring of 14. Yeah, the first one. Majority Counsel says, and since we talked about it before the break, you could just recap. How can you say again who was there? Archer goes, sure. Kynez Reznev, Karim Mazimov, Yelena Borina, possibly Yuri, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and possibly Eric Schwein. So there was this dinner with both Joe and Hunter at this dinner with these Ukrainians. Majority Counsel says the duration of that time that Joe Biden stayed there, you said you couldn't recall, but you do recall whether he had dinner or whether he had dinner. Yeah, I recall he had dinner. It was a regular, not a long dinner, but dinner. So he was there long enough to eat a meal. So it wasn't like he just dropped Hunter off and waved to some people and got in the car and left. He was there. Majority Council asked, so this dinner takes place in the spring of 2014, approximately. But then, do you recall getting a wire on February 14th of 2014, Valentine's Day, from Elena Botrina for 3.5 million to Rosemont Seneca Thornton? Archer goes to Rosemont Seneca Thornton, and yes, yes. And since we talked about it before, anyway, it goes on and on and on. It goes on and on and on. And my suggestion is that you read the transcript. My suggestion is that you read the transcript. And now what we're going to do, we're going to put Devon Archer was on Tucker on Twitter. So we have taken a number of clips that we've gotten off Twitter, and we're going to put them right here. Well, not right here, but right here. So you can sort of hear Tucker's questions and Archer's answers, and then we'll talk about it after that. We'll be back right after this.
And this is not a criticism of you. I would think as a business guy, you use every advantage. These are not business guys. This is the Vice President of the United States. He's not allowed to be working on businesses with foreign governments while he's Vice President. I don't think.
Not that I know of.
But here he is.
Right.
Amazing. I'm pivoting against the lie that I'm hearing people tell with a straight face, Congressman Goldman, for example, that we don't really know what was going on. Really? You're taking a call from the vice president and you put it on speaker. It's not just, hey, Dad, I'm in a meeting with some buddies.
Right.
It's, let me put my dad, the vice president, on speaker.
Yeah. Yep. In the rear view, it's an abuse of soft power, I'd say.
What's he thanking you for?
Well, first of all, it's a lovely letter, and it was.
It's quite enthusiastic. It's a little weird, though, right?
Yeah. Well, it was kind of the beginning of our partnership, and he was thanking me and thanking Hunter, I think, at the end of the day, for bringing this idea of this government regulatory strategic advisory business into the private equity world. And I think he was excited about the prospects for Hunter, and he was just thanking me. I think it was a nice gesture. You understand DC, right? So the power to have that access and that conversation, and it's not in a scheduled conference call, and it's a part of your family. That's like the pinnacle of power in DC.
100%. Did he have a sophisticated understanding of regulation, do you think?
I think that he led a team that had a sophisticated.
Okay, because I lived in Washington a long time, around a lot of regulation. Also, a very complex area.
Absolutely. I think you got to be an expert in knowing the guy, and he was the guy that was the expert in knowing the guy.
He was an expert in knowing the guy.
Right.
And who was the guy he knew?
Well, he knew a lot of people, but obviously there was some familiar, his brother, his father, some of his father's siblings. So he knew a lot of people. And obviously I know you're pointing to, the father being the key relationship.
Do you think that he would have been in those businesses, not having a business background, without his father being in a government position?
It's hard to speculate in those regards. I mean,
Yeah.
I think when we initially met and he talked about his advisory business, his business that needed to transition from lobbying to advisory, and the interest in private equity, it seemed like a new and interesting network for us to expand our business. Whether he could have, been in that position, it's hard for me to speculate. But
Right.
obviously, the brand of Biden, adds a lot of power when your dad's the vice president.
All right. Wow. I mean, wow. Yeah, and we see that Devon Archer sat down with Tucker Carlson, where they discussed the obvious, the business scheme that Joe and Hunter Biden are involved in that landed them in the. I don't know if they're in trouble or not, because it depends on who's watching and who is in charge on if you're in trouble or not. If you are doing something that your mom doesn't want you to do and your mom catches you, you're in trouble. If you're doing something that your mom doesn't want you to do and your dad catches you and he doesn't care, then you're not in as much trouble. You know what I'm saying? You're not. So this is kind of the situation we have here when we think that these people are in these serious straits. What we're hoping to do here on Fight Back Media is to bring this to people who may not be paying attention. Who may not be paying attention that this stuff is going on. Hunter Biden's cupcake plea deal was tossed by a judge here recently who viewed it as kind of a joke. It was a perversion of justice, they say. A man commits tax and gun charges and gets no jail time. So the sleazy government access deals the pair allegedly dabbed in have been known for months. And this isn't new. But the FBI's FD 1023 report, which we talked about earlier, from their informant was the bombshell that everybody's been waiting for. I hate the phrase bombshells, but it's kind of what that is. The Bidens got $10 million, and we talked about that already here on the program in 2015, 2016, which they reportedly coerced from Burisma. However, its co-founder, who was also an alleged source for Russian intelligence, kept tabs on the arrangement, making notes of the payment and recording the calls between him and the Bidens. Hunter Biden and his former associate Devon Archer, the guy that we saw, in the video, got cushy jobs at Burisma. They, in return, got legal protection from investigation and access to then top Obama officials. The idea is that all this is going on while Joe Biden is vice president. I was talking to my wife a little bit ago, and I said, when all this is going on, do you know who else knew? Do you know who else knew? Or do you know who else should have known? Exactly. That's exactly right. Anyway, let's see. The first Hunter's emails to Archer were recently released. They show the first kid. They show Hunter's worried about the Foreign Agents Registration Act violations. That's the least of it. But Joe chimed in over the phone. The 20 plus times could rope him into the FARA legal pickle that he talked about it 20 times. That could get him involved in this, maybe. Archer claimed that the father and son duo would discuss things like the weather. Try again. All these calls happened to have occurred when a business deal was being hashed out. Archer told Carlson that the Joe on the phone was proof to the prospective clients that they would have platinum level access in DC. They talk about that call where Hunter gets his dad on the phone and just doesn't say to his dad, he said, "Hey, listen, I'm talking to my business partner," then blah, 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 blah. No, in order to make sure that these guys know that Hunter is the guy who has the access. He's a guy who knows a guy. He puts his dad on the speakerphone. Well, mountains of cash were funneled into shell companies, which dinged the Biden clan with over 170 suspicious activity reports from 6 banks. So much money coming in that there were 170 suspicious activity reports from 6 different banks. Wow. Archer admits that the influence peddling operation the Bidens had established was an abuse of soft power. And to make matters worse for Joe Biden, there's this letter that he sent Archer in 2011, where then Vice President Biden said he was happy that Archer and Hunter were together. Oh, it was this nice letter. This, I'm glad that I didn't get to talk to you, but I'm glad that you and Hunter got to hang out, and you guys are working together. So when Joe Biden says that he doesn't have any idea about Hunter's business dealings, Joe Biden is telling a lie. Now, how much is this going to mean? I don't know. The me that is, I don't know, cynical thinks it's not going to mean anything. Not going to mean a doggone thing. Because this administration is trying to lock up the person they think is their biggest competition. They're trying to get that guy thrown in prison, or at least tied up so much with a legal battle that he can't really put together a campaign. And even if he did, is a mechanism still in place to keep him from winning? My guess that it is. It most certainly is. All right. Anyway, we got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody. And for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.